Now to Decision Day in Georgia. Polls have opened in the American state for two key runoff elections, and the vote will determine which party will control the Senate and ultimately the policies of President-elect Joe Biden. More than 3 million votes have already been cast in early voting. 2 Senate seats are up for grabs. The Democrats need to win both to secure control of the Senate. Republicans only need one to hold a majority for the next 2 years. Both Joe Biden and President Donald Trump have made closing pitches for their party's candidates.
It's been intense. It's been nonstop. But I'm asking you to give everything you've got one more day. One more day. And that one more day is not hyperbole. You can change America.
The Democrats are trying to steal the White House. You cannot let them. You just can't let them steal the U.S. Senate. You can't let it happen.
So Mark joins us live from Washington, D.C. for more on this. Simon, walk us through the possible scenarios once Georgia votes.
Well, you heard President Trump laying out one possible scenario right there, Steve. The possibility that he is going to claim, if the Republicans lose these 2 Senate seats in Georgia, that this was another rigged election. And one of the big questions going into Election Day across the state today is just how much damage has President Trump done over the last few weeks with his continued claims that the presidential election was rigged and that American elections are unsafe and insecure. Has that had an impact on Republican voters in Georgia who may say, well, if it's a rigged election, I'm not having anything to do with it. I'm going to stay home. You've got 2 Republican senators in Georgia, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, struggling to return to Washington. Under normal political circumstances, Georgia's a reliable Republican state. This shouldn't be a struggle, but their challengers have made considerable headway to the point where these 2 races are both neck and neck. The Republicans could win both, the Democrats could win both, or the 2 parties could split a seat each. But the most important outcome for Joe Biden is for the Democrats to win both seats, because only that way will he avoid a situation where he's facing off against a Republican majority, even a very thin one, 1 or 2 seats, but a majority of Republicans in the Senate that can bedevil him once he gets into the Oval Office.
And again, it may be voting day, Simon, but we've got those mail-in ballots again. We've got absentee, votes to count as well. So when can we expect results?
Yeah, stop me when this becomes familiar, Dawn. We could be in for days of waiting for the results. It's perfectly possible that the television networks tonight and the Associated Press will project winners in these races if they believe that the numbers are close enough and, the margins are wide enough. And certainly the Democrats have been very emboldened going into Election Day by the size of the black voter turnout in early voting. They believe that that mitigates in their candidate's favour. But if these races are, as the polls suggest, close, well, military and overseas ballots, they can arrive all the way up until Friday of this week, and provided they're postmarked by today, they will be counted. So we could be in for days and days of waiting for results and then grappling over whether this was a fair election. Recounts are possible. There are all sorts of scenarios that, as we saw, you and I with the presidential election, can absolutely come into play.
Well, we'll be touching base with you on the results of this one.
Simon, with all this happening amid a growing crisis, the pandemic, of course, New York has even found its first case of the more contagious COVID-19 strain that was found in the UK. Is that garnering enough attention or any attention?
Well, that's the 3rd state to report the presence of the British variant of COVID-19 after California and Colorado, and it absolutely indicates that the variant is now here in the United States and spreading. So there are grave concerns, not just in New York, but in other states about this, because, as you know, it's 70% more transmissible than the original variant. And Governor Andrew Cuomo continues to press for flights from Britain to be grounded. He believes that American airspace should be closed to flights from Britain. That is still not the case. They are landing here in the US every single day in smaller numbers than normal. But that is an additional fear about fresh opportunities for that variant to arrive here on American soil.
All right, Simon, thank you very much for staying on top of those stories for us. Simon Marks there in Washington, D.C.